Hey there, everybody. Thank you again for your company this morning. This is Full Circle with Joyce, and time now for us to dive into our next segment of the day. We want to talk about women and investments, and I'm inviting you to send in your questions, your comments, your feedback to 111-444-111. You can also comment on Facebook at Switch TV Kenya. Now, we had hoped to have the CEO of Optivin, but he has sent a very able lady to tackle this subject as well. And I love that it's a lady too, talking about women in investment. Here with us, we have Faith Murigu. Karibu sana to the show. You work with Optivin.
Yes, I do.
Tell us what you do there.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Thank you even for having me on this show. I truly appreciate this very moment.
You're welcome.
I think just to introduce myself, just like you've said, my name is Faith Murigo, and I work with Optivin. Optivin is a leading real estate company, and I am in sales.
Okay.
So I'm a sales manager,
Okay.
and it's a delight to be here, to even represent my CEO.
Great.
Yes.
Great. Tell me about women and investments and, of the clientele that comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them are women? Is it, disproportionately? I think many of us kind of assume that most of the ones leading in investments are men, but perhaps you have a different story to tell.
True. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that question. And maybe to answer that, one thing you realize before I can get to the answer to that is that an empowered woman is a great blessing to the society.
Come on.
And so you find that as we continue, of course, the narrative is changing, because for a long time, people never thought that women would actually own like property, they were not so much into investment, but it's changing. You find like now, if I'm to give examples of the recent couple of years, then you find that now women are really warming up to investment, and they are doing so in various forums. And so I can confidently say that things have shifted. It's not the way we used to know that only the men are in the forefront when it comes to investment. Things have now, shifted. Things have changed.
Okay.
And so a lot of women now are coming out to, own property. They are coming to invest either as individuals or in groups.
Okay.
So I can say that it's really changed.
Okay.
Which is a good thing.
It is.
Yeah, it's a
and
good
I
thing.
want to explore the statement that you've made there that, women getting into investment, or rather an empowered woman, is actually a blessing to society. Because I think, I don't know how we ended up there, but the word empowered almost became like a dirty word. And people will be afraid of it, like, oh, now it means she's too independent, or she's going to be too, atakuwa na kanyaga wanaume. And that's not what it's about, actually.
No, not at all.
But tell me what you mean by an empowered woman is a blessing to society.
Maybe if I can explain that without even coming to the issue of investment, as a situation whereby just maybe I look back at the village, the village life. You find where you say an empowered woman is a blessing, you may find sometimes there are those families that have quite a number of issues. But the woman, because of the zeal she has for their children to continue growing up and going to school, you find that thing they would say that it's something the woman hides, for the children, for the sake of posterity and all that kind of a thing. Because could be there are things that are happening in the household which are not favoring maybe the children as a result of, being in a married kind of a setup. That's just an example. Sure. But then you find that the woman, because she really wants the children to progress, and then there would be that kitty that is hidden. They call it that kitty for a rainy day. And so you find the reason why they would do that, I don't really want to advocate for it, but why it would happen is because the woman has this zeal, because we have the nurturing ability. Remember, we are the ones who carry the womb. So what happens is that a woman, anything she's given, it explodes. Any little thing she's given, it explodes. So similarly, why I'm saying that an empowered woman is a blessing, because the moment this woman has that, it's not really just actually to step on the men, but it's just to know her position.
Right.
Who is she?
And to contribute.
Yes.
She has skills, she still has intellect, she has strength and ability. And we're 50% of the population, so you might as well, use up our skills as well to improve the economy, right?
Very, very true.
Yeah.
And so you find that the society also becomes healthy when the women are empowered.
Right.
Because an empowered woman who also knows her position will not go stepping on the men.
Sure.
They'll know their position, hold it very well, and be able to be a blessing to many other generations.
Sure.
Yes,
sure.
that's how I can explain it.
Great.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the types of investments now that women can get into. Do some work better than others?
Yes.
For women, if that even is a qualifier. But just talk to us about the different types of investments available.
Okay. Maybe to go to that, there are quite a number of investment opportunities and options available that people can decide to venture into. We talk about the money market funds. We can talk about real estate. I'm actually here now coming in the strength of the real estate because that's my background. That's what we do. And so you find that there's a money market, there's real estate where women can decide to just go there and invest. And then there are also so many other things like I've been hearing of this forex trading and so many other things that are happening, which people can actually take a look and see if it favors them. But I think for me, the capacity is the real estate for a woman.
Okay.
Yes, an ordinary woman. Real estate is also one of the viable options for them to invest.
I think a lot of people are scared of it though, because you either the more affordable plots are somewhere you've never heard of.
Yes.
And it's gonna take you like 2 days. You have to take like 2 days off work, siku ya kuenda na siku ya kurudi. Book some accommodation someplace.
Yes.
It's in some place, and then you worry, in like 5 years, some community is going to be pitching forks and saying you've taken their land.
Yes, yes.
Or the ones that are closer to where you are pretty expensive, right? So I think a lot of women and gentlemen too might be skeptical as far as if they can actually afford to invest in property. And maybe you can demystify that for us.
All right. Maybe what I would say in that is that when it comes to investment in real estate for women, and I actually get your concern, and it's a very, very genuine concern, because there are times people may go to many, many kilometers, just to check on a property, and sometimes you're not even sure whether this property is genuine. That's one of the concerns that people have. Unaambiwa, there's this thing they say, maguta. You've heard of that?
No.
Plot maguta. What basically they mean is that there are plots that appear very appealing, cost-wise, and how it's also packaged, but actually one has also to be very cautious, because it can appear that you're finding it's being sold at a very fair price, but then has due consideration been done? Because you could buy it at 200,000 or that 500,000, and you're thinking you've got a real big, good deal, but is everything okay with that particular property? And so maybe just to explain that is that there's something we call due diligence before you can even do any investment. And I want to talk to, my fellow women, women who want to invest in real estate, is that there's something we call due diligence. You've got to do a visibility study anytime you want to invest. And how this happens is that you're able to get a firm or get a company or get an organization, get someone you can trust, such that even when you are asleep, when you're sending your money, your money is safe. And so that is very, very critical first, to ensure that the person you're dealing with or the company you're dealing with are genuine. Everything that they are selling is genuine. And how you do that is that we allow, like for example, where I'm coming from, we will allow you to do a search. We wouldn't want to just come and force you to just come take up a property. You've done the proper search. And you see, the proper search will involve you going either to the lands registry and all that kind of a thing. We give you the freedom to do that, so that by the time you're committing your money, you already know that actually you're getting into a deal that is viable, a deal that is genuine, and so you've got no fear. So what I would say is that first, all those who are watching, first just get somebody you can work with who is genuine, and get to establish that the property is genuine as well, because then that will save you from a lot of trouble. Because I know so many people who've put in their money and the money has gotten lost in very dubious ways, because they trusted maybe the person they sent their money to, but the money just disappeared. And maybe Joy, something I can really, and I'm sure you're very familiar with this, like people in diaspora. You find sometimes people in diaspora will send in money, and they tell
send
you,
in a lot of money.
A lot of money, and somebody has promised to get them a property, and so they send in the money, and they tell them the property is being developed. Wait until they come back maybe after 5 years.
Jamaa hata hashiki simu. Unapata
maybe they just keep taking photos of some other buildings of people constructing, and they say to them and tell them, your building is still in progress. So it's very, very critical before you can commit your money. It is very critical that you do a due diligence. Yes, just do that visibility study to help you.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
And as you've mentioned, when it comes to property, for example, there are women who are doing it safe with their chama, and I think there's a lot of women who've been able to rise economically and financially by partnering with other women and doing investments that way.
Yes.
So in that case, what happens as far as the title deed is concerned, when they've come and they've bought a piece of land, they've all changad? Whose name do you guys, sort of hand it over to?
Thank you for that question, which is very, very critical. And to answer that, true, you know, maybe there are those people who don't know you can come together and have the chamas, you know, women investing together. So you come together and you're able to raise some money and you want to invest that money back into real estate. And it is happening. We've had several cases, actually very, very many cases, not only of women, but even the men, because now this cuts across, whereby you come together and you want to buy a particular property, which maybe you want to develop, or you want to let it just stay on for some time and then you can sell and maybe share the, you know, the profits and all. So it is very, very possible. And actually the good thing is that the title will accommodate the names. So it doesn't really, you know, it shouldn't be a concern to them that if we come together, so does the title just come with one person's name? No, the good thing is that has been taken care of. So as you come together as a chama, you know, as women coming together, don't fear. The only thing is that just go to a genuine company and be able to be guided through. You know, from the beginning of the process to the end. And maybe Joyce, even before you can even ask another question, you had asked previously concerning the cost, that, you know, real estate appears to be quite, you know, costly, and is it just for any other person, or is it for a preserve of the few? And maybe to answer that question is that it depends. It depends on an individual. If you're looking for something maybe closer to the Nairobi metropolis, for example, or closer to a town that's near you, then you may find, just basically because of the location, you see the location will be a determinant when it comes to the cost. Then you'll find also the proximity of the property, maybe from the main road or something like that. And then also things we call like value additions. For example, this particular property that you're buying, is there water? Is there electricity? What has been done basically? What we'd call the value additions, because that also play a factor in determining the cost. And so you find that like, for example, some of the properties we deal with, they're those that you purchase, and after you purchase, the only thing you need to do is to go and develop it, because everything is in place. You know, water is there, electricity is there, planting of trees has been done, the roads are done, you know, basically stone perimeter wall. So the only thing you need to do is just pay up for that particular property, and after paying up, then you can just go start develop immediately. But then there are also other properties, because we try as much as possible, or rather to ensure that everybody has got something for themselves. So you find that then there are those that will be, you know, every category of a person, depending on your income, you know, income bracket, then you're able to get something for yourself. Yes, so it is possible, and it is, everybody can get something. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So I have someone here saying, good morning, Joyce. I love the show. I'm watching from Athi River. I'm asking, what was the Bible verse for today? Okay, it was Colossians chapter 2 verse 8, I believe. Yes, Colossians chapter 2 verse 8. I also have Gloria watching from Malindi saying, I'm enjoying the show. It's true that women have the power to multiply what they are given, and you say it's even biblical. You quote from Psalms chapter 128 verse 3 that women shall be fruitful. And I think even in as far as encouraging women about investments, it's for us to not be fearful, as you've said, but to understand that we actually do have the capacity, the capability to be able to invest and to thrive at it. And even when you consider that as women, we tend to focus on the long-term goals.
Very true.
So hopefully that way we're a bit more strategic, even with the investment. But I want to ask specifically, you know, still under real estate, you know, buying an apartment versus buying land. I know Optiven specializes in land.
Yes, sure.
And you know, is that still a strong trend right now? I think a lot of people, you know, especially a few years ago, would buy the land to speculate.
Yes.
But then sijui pia serikali, you know, there's taxes and things to pay. Is there
Land
now
rates.
some sort of rule about if your land sits just empty like that for too long? Is there anything like that, or can people still hold, you know, onto land for speculation purposes if maybe they're not able to, or they don't intend to develop the land in any way?
Okay. And I think maybe to answer the first question you're asking, you know, whether if somebody puts up like apartments or rentals, I think you asked that first.
I mean, between apartments and, you know, buying land, you know, for a woman who's seeking to invest and maybe she's debating, do I buy an apartment or do I buy a piece of land?
Okay.
What would you advise?
I think, okay, that one would be a case to case, kind of a consideration, because then there are several factors that would make somebody either buy an apartment or just maybe buy land and decide to develop it. And one thing about, when you purchase land and you want to develop it is that you're going to do, you're going to use the designs that you have come up with, as opposed to when an apartment is already done and, fully furnished and all that kind of a thing. You may not have much to do with it because it's just purchasing and, starting, living in it or renting it out. But now the advantage you have when you have land, when you buy land and you develop it yourself, is that there's the advantage of you coming up with your own design, coming up with your own, basically like it's like your mind now is interpreted on what you wished for an apartment. So that becomes now very key when you're looking at it that way. But then the other people who don't want to go through all the whole process of purchasing land, and then they get a contractor or they get all that, all the process that's involved in the construction. So you may find now those people wanting very much to just settle for an apartment. But of course the cost also matters, because for an apartment then that's fully, already done and ready for immediate settlement, then the cost definitely will be higher. But if you realize sometimes you could purchase that portion of land and be able to develop it yourself, and you find you're saving so much. You first make, develop it in the way that you feel you should, your own design and that kind of a thing. But then you also find that you're able to save in some money. Okay. So that one is a case to case.
It will just be a personal decision.
Yeah. Person to person, kind of a decision.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, Faith, I really want to thank you for coming onto the show. And hopefully many women are encouraged today about, reading up some more on investments. Let's not be afraid of numbers. Like, let's, let's step out there and do it. You have the ability, you have the skill. Yes. Cultivate yourself as well in these areas, and know that there's some inherent things as far as the way women were created that might actually give you an advantage with investments. So thank you very much, Faith. How can people reach you? Labda wameguswa wanataka kununua kaploti.
And maybe something I could say, Joyce, an advantage of investing in real estate. I think maybe just some advantages that I can just share briefly and very quickly. The steady income, the steady income, flowing. Then there's that financial security, so to say, because immediately you have a property and then it's accumulating, some money. Maybe there's some rental. Then you are assured, even when it comes to your retirement, it becomes very
there's something.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And as I also give,
I need to ask you to let people know how they can reach you.
Yes. Yeah. All right, to reach us, you can reach us on 0790 300 300. That's the number you can call, be able to reach to us, and much more, be able to understand much more about what Optiven does, because we have so many other things that we do, including the Optiven Foundation, which I really hoped I would just pick about for a moment.
I'm so sorry. My time is up. Tutafukuzwa.
Yes.
But I think as we focused on women in business, people can come and check out, I'm sure on your website, they can learn more about the foundation from there. And your website is?
www.optiven.co.ke.
Great.
Yes.
Faith, thank you very much for coming
on
to the show.
Joyce.
Very passionate, and I can see why you're the sales lady.
Thank you so much. I appreciate. Yes, and once again, 0790 300 300. They can be able to reach to us.
Mr. George Akupe promotion.
Thank you.